1C, Graphing Simple Interest. Remember to pause the video at any time to allow you to fill in the theory sheets that you were provided at the beginning of the unit. Simple interest has been calculated here based on the information provided. However, don't just write the answers in the bottom of the table, always show your work, and remember this is worth marks. Pause the video and fill in this information, please. Whenever you draw a graph, it's always important to include a title so the person who's viewing your work knows what your graph is about. Because what we're measuring is dollars, you'll find that your interest in dollars will always go on your y-axis, which is your vertical axis. Time almost always goes on your x-axis or your horizontal axis. And just as importantly, to ensure good quality work, always use a ruler. When you conclude your answer, find as much information as you can from the graph. You'll see that this answer includes the gradient and the percentage. The percentage would directly relate to the interest rate in this case. Pause the video now and ensure that you have all of this information filled in before we move on to the examples. Looking at the question that we've been given. Bob invests his savings of $6,000 at 2.5% per annum. Complete the table below to calculate the interest that will have been earned over 5 years. So let's have a look at the information that we've been given. He invests his savings of $6,000 at 2.5% per annum, and these numbers here are the years that he has that invested. So we have been given the principal, the rate, and we have the time. Now that we know all that information, it's time to do our working. Write your formula at the top, I equals PRT over 100, because they're asking us to work out what the interest is, so we're going to use our normal formula. Let's work it out for 1 year. Interest is equal to the principal, which was $6,000, multiplied by the rate, which is 2.5, multiplied by the time, which is 1 year, over 100, which is equal to exactly the same way that we've done before. $6,000 multiplied by 2.5 multiplied by 1, all divided by 100 equals 150. And fill in your table at the top as you go. Complete all your working exactly the same way. Okay, as soon as you've filled your table out, it's time to start thinking about your graph. So it says, graph the interest earned against the number of years the money is invested. Remember from the theory that you did earlier that time always goes on the bottom and dollars there. You need a title and you need to label both axes, always using a ruler. You'll notice that when I've labeled my axis, I've gone interest and I've specified that it's in dollars. Time, and I've specified that it's in years. I've got the same space between each one, and I've gone up in twos, 200, 400, 600, 800. Now it's time to start labeling or plotting my points. So for 1 year, it was $150. Remember, this would be about 100, so let's go halfway through. 2 years, was it 300? 3 years, we're looking at $450. 4 years was 600. And 5 years was at the $750 mark. Just use your ruler And remember that at 0 years you had $0. Now it's time to write it in words. This is where it becomes a little bit more pointed in what you're going to write. So the gradient of the graph, first of all. So if we're looking at, therefore, the gradient of the graph or graph is, now the gradient is, what's the difference between that slope and that slope? If you have a look here in your table, what's the difference between here and here? Difference between there and there, there and there, there and there, there and there. You'll see that there is a common pattern, and the common pattern is what gives us the straight line in our graph. So it is 150, which is the amount of 1 year's interest. Or 2.5% of the principal. So a 1 unit increase, which is the same as saying a 1 year, it increases by 150 points or 150 marks. So it's saying that each year Bob is going to earn $150 on his savings. Now look really closely. As we discussed before, a simple interest graph is always linear or always in a straight line. That's because we're calculating interest on the same amount every single year. So in 1 year he earns $150. This year he earns $150, $150, $150, $150, but it's just accumulating to give you that nice gentle slope going up. You'll notice with the next question that the table is slightly bigger. If you read the question, it'll explain. Sarah wants to invest $5,500. 3 different institutions offer interest rates of 6%, 7%, and 8%. Complete the table below to show the interest that she could earn over 5 years. So she wants to invest $5,500. We have interest rates of 6, 7, and 8%, and it's over 5 years. Exactly like the table before, but we're going to be graphing 3 different interest rates. Once again, it's really important to show your working. So if we have a look at our first one, let's call it the 6% for the first year. I equals PRT over 100, and that's the only time I'll write the formula. Interest is equal to the principal, $5,500, multiplied by the rate, which is 6, multiplied by time. We're only doing the first one, which is 1 over 100. Second year, a bit of a shortcut when you're doing your working out. If you have a look at your cursor and you press the back button, you'll notice that the cursor's back here. If you get it so it's right there, delete it, enter in your new years, press equals. That'll give you your next answer. You'll notice that I had nowhere near enough room for the working, but the working is really important because that can give you extra grades when you're answering a question. If you have a look now, I've filled in my entire table. I need to make sure that the side of my graph will incorporate 300 to 2,200, and it needs to be over 5 years. Once again, I'm going to put the number of years on the bottom and the dollars at the side. The difference with this one is I've left a bit more space at the side here. I'm going to do a key. Using your ruler, draw your graph with a heading and label your axis, please. Now that I've drawn the basis for my graph, you'll notice at the side here that I've done 6%, 7%, 8%, purple, blue and green. I'm going to use those coloured pens to start plotting my figures. So for 6% for the first year, I was going to earn Sarah was going to earn $300. In the second year, she was going to earn $660, so approximately there. 3 years, she was going to earn $990. 4 years, $1,320, approximately there, and then $1,650. And using my ruler, I'm going to join those lines up. My next one is blue. So 7%. $385, which would be about there. My second year, $770, which would be about there. 3 years, $1,155, so about there. 1,540, and 5 years, 1,925. So about there-ish. Again, using my ruler, starting from the 0. And last but not least, 8%. So it's going to start off at $440, which will be about there. The next one, 880. It's 800, about there. 1320. Which is about there. 4 years, 1760, which would be about there, and 5 years, 2200, which is exactly there. So just as expected, the more interest, the higher the rate, the more interest you're going to earn. That just separates the three, and your key will help you identify which rate you're graphing.